What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are at BIKC Local Finals. This one of course is extremely important for me as I have been practicing for a long year. Last year didn't go too well for me as I finished P7 out of the top 6 that needed to qualify for regionals. So in this year I had a lot of people watching me, of course. A lot of people watching me from different tracks, amongst people just online in general. I had a lot of support coming into local finals, coming from a lot of people. So I of course am hoping to do well and put on a performance. As I'm leaving the pit lane here, as you can see I'm struggling with my seat. It didn't go all the way back, so I had a bit less grip on the rear wheels, but we can move. This kart here, if I remember, this car didn't feel too good. It felt a little weird on the straight line. Everything else felt, well, perfect of course. I had a lot of grip, like a lot of grip. I thought this was because there was a session out before us that was practice. The fastest lap in that session was a 36.4 or 36.2, but this kart here had a lot more grip than I had felt in ages. That turned out to be, well, of course, being down on straight line speed. The car I changed to after had its problems, but besides the small problem of me not being able to like move all the way back, it was actually a fairly good car. I was able to put in a 35.6, so that would be a non-oil PB for me. The oil basically just gives you more grip. It breaks through the first layer of the tires and it just gives you a lot more grip. So yeah, the second kart I had felt really good, kart 16. I believe they have turned down that kart now. On the night, well, between Wednesday and Thursday, they increased the kart's top speed drastically. Our mechanics down at Edmonton have pulled off wonders with these karts. They made them from one of the worst fleets I've ever driven to one of the actually, well, best fleets I've driven. The karts felt really good towards Thursday. On Monday, someone set a 35.4 in the members 3-2, which is a very good time. I haven't seen someone do those lap times in a long while. So yeah, these karts have really been tuned up by the mechanics. Shout out Jordan, well done for actually, well, making these karts amazing, because no one actually believed in, well, anyone's ability of being able to make these karts at least half decent. But yeah, towards the Wednesday and Thursday, the karts actually felt, well, fairly equal as well. As long as you know how to adapt, you can be on the pace with many karts. As you can see here, I pull into the pit lane, shaking my head because the kart felt really bad. I got really angry because, well, it's the BIKC night and I'm hoping for the kart not to be this bad. But as you can see here, I complain about the straight line speed. I go sit in this car here, I remove the seat, and it won't go back. I'm pushing it really hard, it just won't go back. It was really annoying me. He's telling me I can't go far back, so like I can't drive this kart course because I'm used to seeing all the way back.
Is this the last decent one? Yeah, this is the last one. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so I do apologise for the language there. That was me just getting a little angry because it was the BIKC night. The adrenaline was running high, of course, because I want to put on a performance, but as you can see here, my knees are all the way onto the steering wheel. But this actually, I think, made me quicker. Of course, if you have less weight on the rear wheels, you will have more grip. Or not more grip, sorry, you have more straight line speed, but less grip. And because I am a fairly heavy driver, I will have more grip anyway. So I was able to, well, boost my straight line speed and also be fairly quick through the corners. So here I'm catching up to the driver ahead. This is Quincy. On the night he was kind of screwed over by bad karts. A lot of drivers got screwed over by bad karts. Here he had kart 11. In qualifying, he didn't get handed this kart, but in the race, he started, I think, 9th in the A final. He got given kart 11 and he got screwed over and was 2 seconds off the pace. So he got lapped multiple times in that race, which I do find is kind of a joke. But yeah, next year is going to be very different, of course, because we're going to have new karts. But most of the drivers at Edmonton now won't be here next year. Of course, I will be there. I will just be driving in the BIKC. I feel like I will be driving at Edmonton a lot less, but my local might still be Edmonton or it will be Mitcham. But moving on now, I have caught up to 2 drivers. One ahead is Ashley Daniel, my teammate, and the other one is Max, my friend. So here you can see they just have a huge boost of straight line speed on me, but my cornering technique has improved over the few weeks. So I'm able to just increase my cornering speed through these corners, cutting off track distance, making me very, very quick. Here, he compromises his exit. I go here. I don't think I should have stuck my nose into that corner there, but I was just really wanting to get past because I did want to beat, my closest rival in the session, Mason. Mason, my good friend, basically, me and him are sort of equal on pace. If we had equal karts, we would probably be fastest there, and also, very equal in lap time. There was, I think, 100 between us towards the end of the session. We did also sort of get the same amount of traffic in this session too. He did have, I think, 5 or 6 extra laps in his kart. I think if I had more time to get used to this kart, I might have been able to beat him. But of course, it is just practice, so it is whatever. Here, I make the move down the inside of Ashley, trying not to waste any time. There, I slow down a lot for the apex, so he doesn't pull off the switchback, and then of course I get a better exit because he's turned into me. So yeah, that's a tip for you guys if you want to overtake someone that is good at switchbacks. But I think I'm gonna skip forward now, or no, I am continuing. This is just me chasing down Max. I was pushing very, very hard at this point. After this session, I was dripping with sweat because of how much I was sweating. Yeah, I was pushing really, really hard. Just you see minimal mistakes for every single corner here, like barely any corrections out of the corner. There I had to make kind of micro corrections mid-corner because this kart did also feel weird. Of course, I was getting used to this seating position, so your center of gravity is going to be very, very different when driving if you're this far forward. Here, I had a lot more front grip, so it felt a lot better to drive through here. The up ramp just felt really, really nice because the front tires would dig into the concrete, so I'd get more turn-in speed and of course keep up the minimum speed through the corner. So I think I might start using this seating position at Edmonton just to get more grip on this front wheel so I can turn in more aggressively and it will stick to the ground. You see here, he just pulls away on that straight. This is a recurring theme all night. If you guys didn't know, I am a heavyweight coming into this round. That is the theme for this BIKC for me. I am naming this BIKC Heavyweight versus Juniors. Hopefully I will be quick enough to at least or do well at regionals. I am looking at making it into nationals. I know it does seem a little unrealistic, but I do have a lot of people saying I have a chance this year. So I am taking their word for it. I am pushing very, very hard to try and make it to nationals this year. Might not win, but of course I can still try. Max does let me through here to basically, I don't know if he was following my lines or what, but here I just go down the inside of Quincy. As you can see, I've caught up to him again. I believe he's changed his car, but that car was really, really bad. This is my fastest lap, the 35.6, so I will be quiet. Okay, on to quali now. I have been handed kart 1 in this session. I have heard some good things about this kart, but I was unaware of the oversteer. This kart is sort of my worst enemy. Oversteer is not what I want in a kart. I want to have tiny bits of rotation, not oversteer mid-corner, and that is the exact thing this kart would do. I had fairly good straight line speed. This kart is only good in grippy session. If you guys are watching this and didn't know, the BIKC officials decided to run juniors mixed with cadets, so this sort of screwed me over in this session. This kart is only good when it's switched on, the tyres are switched on, when the track is fully gripped up, but I couldn't do much because they sent the cadets out for half an hour to 45 minutes for us, which apparently was to try and make the session equal, but it was not equal at all. I had zero grip, so I did manage to do another 35.6. I had a 35.633, which isn't where I really wanted to be in this qualifying session. I wanted to be doing maybe a 36.4 or even a track record of a 36.3, not a 36.3, sorry, a 35.3, but of course I couldn't do that because I didn't have the grip available. Here I absolutely sent it down the inside. I'm sorry. I did really want to get ahead for this lap. I did back off I did sort of back off a bit, but I did catch up to the traffic quite quickly, so I just decided to try and overtake them and get my head down for the session. In this session, there was a bit of confusion for me. I was sort of getting really angry at one of my friends. I'm not going to say the name yet because I'm not trying to call people out for driving, of course, because a lot of my friends do watch my videos. But here I am trying to overtake this driver ahead. He is going wide through a lot of corners and just slot down the inside. Now I'm not sure if you can see, but here I just lose my rear end a lot through the up ramp corner. This is what I sort of had to adapt to. Now of course if I was using my old lines I would be oversteering a lot. This new line is a mix of a new driving style. It's sort of half it's aggressive but mixed with tighter lines and turning in a bit earlier. That will give me small bits of rotation on the entry and then it should straighten up mid-corner. Here I skip forward. This is Dylan. Here he compromises turn 1 and I just send it down the inside. Here you can see a massive speed boost he's got here. I just defend it off and then I will pull away. What I was saying before, my new lines are actually made for less oversteery karts. This driving style can be pulled off, well the lines can be pulled off with the oversteer, but the lines are more efficient with a sort of understeery kart. So that is sort of what I don't usually prefer understeer, but for this kart, for this track here, Edmonton, I will prefer an understeery kart. Here I've caught up to Ashley again, my teammate. In this session, I don't know what happened. I think he got handed a bad kart, but I'm not sure. If you'll be able to see in a bit, he does slide around a bit and then goes wide on the exit. As you can see there, he slid mid-corner and he went wide on the exit. You'll be able to see the same thing on the up ramp. Yeah, he slides wide, but yeah, you'll see him just pull away on the exit of the corner. That, as I said earlier, is a recurring thing. It is just me being heavyweight and these guys being lightweights. That is what I'm going to have to deal with for the next couple of months in the BIKC, because I am versing a lot of light people. Here I do the exact same move as earlier, stick my nose in to the apex because he doesn't see me. And I do the exact same thing next lap and he just won't let me through. as you'll be able to hear soon or now, I'm just getting very, very angry, of course, because he is my teammate and he's just not moving over. He's just defending. It's not really ideal, of course, because I did want to just keep my head down for the whole of this session. By the time I backed off, I had like 6 laps to try and put in a lap time, and that is when I set my lap. Here, side by side, and he just defends. He cuts me off, and then I'm getting really annoyed. He told me after the session he didn't know it was me. I'm finding it hard to believe that, because I'm literally one of 2 people that wear these boots, and the other person more that wears the boots wasn't even in our group. He was in the group before us, so I'm just unsure. But yeah, this is my fastest lap, a 35.6, 3 times faster than P2, who did a 35.9. So here I'm just going to be quiet again and let you watch the lap. Now, in this kart felt pretty mid, I'm going to be completely honest. I shouldn't really complain. All my friends are telling me that I should stop complaining because everyone else got handed worse karts than me. But this kart really did feel terrible. The race will start now, but I will tell you about the kart after. So, as you can see, being a heavyweight, I get gapped off the start. I get bumped from behind by a driver, and we go red because someone's kart didn't start. As you can see, I'm telling people to stop, but these 2 ahead are continuing. This is not Mason's fault, this is Tiggy's fault. I don't understand why he kept driving, but yeah, he just kept driving. So here I get ready for the start, and they are re-gridding us. So me and Mason kind of get annoyed, and here the marshal starts arguing with Mason for no reason at all, and Mason just looks at me in confusion, but it's whatever. We're getting re-gridded and have to redo the whole thing. So now I'm gonna start gridding myself up. So as I was saying before about my kart was very, very understeery towards the end of the session. So apparently I had a puncture in kart 18. I was told after that it was actually really, really weird to drive, because I think it was the front right tire that was deflated. As you'll be able to see towards the end of the session, I just increasingly had more understeer turning into the corners, so I couldn't really do much. But here we're regridding, and yeah, as you can see, Zane will tell me that he had a kart issue which wouldn't start his kart, but it is a green light and away we go. So I get bumped again off the start because of course I am a heavyweight. But let's just re-watch this start here and see how bad of a launch I actually got. So look at that. Of course all these guys are lighter than me. I am the heaviest driver there, so of course I am going to get the worst start. I go defensive through turn 1. Here you can see Max putting on pressure from behind, but I'm not too worried because of course I know if I get my head down I'll be able to gap him. But these beginning stages were me getting used to the kart. It was the same for the driver in front, Mason Jahal. Mason did also get handed a terrible kart. Kart 6 was quick. At the beginning of the summer stages, I set my fastest lap in that kart, but it just started falling off towards the end of the month. So here, as you can see, I'm gaining more time on him, but as I said before, he's going to gain time on me on the straight. Here I gain more time through the corners because I'm of course heavier and my cornering technique is a lot better. But here he'll just keep gapping me on the straight. This is my problem with being a heavyweight. But yeah, more talk about the karts. Tiggy got handed a very, very quick kart. Kart 15 is one of the fastest karts on the fleet. Max behind me is in kart 4. That thing is half decent. I think that's done a 35.9 or a 36 flat in the summer months, and it's kept up its pace ever since. And it of course has been upgraded by Jordan, our mechanic, so it isn't a bad car. But me and Mason are just getting gapped here by Tiggy, which shouldn't be happening because us three are similar on pace, but of course we can't really do much when we have bad carts. My understeer was very much a problem for me, because I was sort of relying on a front end of the cart, and if I have a sort of understeery setup on the cart, not setup, but yeah, let's say setup, in an F1 car, if I was to drive an F1 car, I wouldn't really want to be driving an understeery car. It just doesn't feel too natural to me, and I do want a balanced front end mixed with a balanced rear end. So yeah, an understeery car just doesn't really suit me at all. As you can see here, I'm almost full lock through that right hander there, which I never actually have been before. So as you can see, this cart definitely has a puncture on the front right. Here, as of course he's going to get me on the straight, but again I gain more time through the corner. Now here, me and Mason are going to work together to try and gap the rest. I could have made the move on Mason a bit earlier, but I didn't see a point in it because there's no chance I'm catching up to Tiggy in a very, very understeery cart when he has a rocket of a cart. So here, Mason pulls a humongous gap on me, and I gain a bit of it back through the corner sections. So going down the straight now, of course, once again he's going to gap me, but then once again I'm going to gain quite a bit of time. So upstairs, I'm very, very strong upstairs. Also the same with downstairs. Downstairs I carry a lot of minimum speed, but here I flick the wheel multiple times and it's just deciding not to turn in. I am gaining a lot of time on entry, and Mason is very, very aggressive, so he bogs down this car mid-corner. So that is where I have a slight advantage on him. I used to be that aggressive, but I have sort of taught myself to stop being that aggressive as I was a bit slower back then. But here, again, constantly gaining more time through that corner. This does sort of play a part in the race later on, but here, once again, almost full lock through that corner and not doing much. Once again, coming through this corner, almost full lock. I bump Mason on that exit so we can keep working together and so we can gap the rest behind us. Because our plan was to try and get a 1-2 in this race coming into it, but we just really couldn't if either one of us didn't get a bad car. If one of us got a good car, we could have just sat behind and just kept bumping us down the straight and then kept up the pace. But we just really couldn't because, of course, we have stinkers of cars. Now, I'm not sure if you're observant enough to see it, but I am increasing my steering lock through these corners here. Every single lap I'm increasingly turning in more and earlier. So this is not very nice. I'm having to adapt to the car every single lap, and having to adapt to a car in different situations multiple times in a race isn't really a fun thing to do because you can't really put your head down and focus on catching up to the people in front, gapping the people behind. You have to constantly focus on how to get this corner right every single lap. So here you can see I almost understeer into that barrier there because I'm turning in less. Now I am, of course, turning in different input every single lap, which is just a weird thing to me. I've never actually had to do this before. I can adapt to different cars, different straight line speed, different grip, but not different amounts of understeer. I have had a rear puncture before, but not a front puncture, so this is something new to me. I will be getting used to this soon because I am driving at BIKC regionals, so I have to expect the unexpected, of course. You can't really predict anything that happens in the BIKC. As you can see here, in this race, I wasn't sort of, well, yeah, you just couldn't predict anything. with these carts. Here I go for a move on Mason. I decide to take over this 2-cart train here and see if I can pull off anything more. But yeah, I'll show you the outside view here. Shout out to Nari for these amazing shots of the race. And yeah, I go for that move there. So continuing now, yeah, I am sort of putting my head down, and I am actually gapping Mason quite a bit. I look back at the external shot from Nari, and well, yeah, I gapped him quite a bit, but then Max started catching up to us. Max had cart 14. I am saying Max quite a few times, that name, but there are 2 Maxes. Max P was in cart 4. He started P5, I believe, and he just kept dropping down because his cart was was significantly worse than the rest. And with Max, M-A-K-S, he's the guy that's catching up to us. He was given cart 14. So me and Mason are left sort of vulnerable at this point. I am gapping Mason quite a bit, even though he is lighter than me. But once I see Max catching up to us, I sort of get a bit distracted and I make a couple mistakes, carrying less speed through the corners, and then of course that leaves me to defend less against Mason, and then he will just go down the inside. And then that's when my race started to go a little bit downhill from there on. But here, keeping everything nice and clean for these corners, making minimal mistakes, constantly being robotic through each corner, which of course I am struggling for. Through turn 1 there, I turn in a lot more than I usually do. Here, on the up ramp, I'm turning in sort of the same amount every single lap because I didn't have a front left puncture. But here, as you can see in the peripheral, you can see Max catching up in cart 14. So here I'm really putting my head down. Mason is sort of urgent to get back past me here because you can see that I'm dropping off the pace. So he doesn't want to be left vulnerable to Max, and I sort of don't want to be overtaken by either of them because I am sitting in 2nd place. But on this lap here, I believe Mason goes down my inside, and then I can't really do much. Yep, he goes down my inside. I couldn't really defend that off because I wasn't expecting it. But here, I just turn over in time so Max doesn't go down my inside, and I am left to defend him off. Now this was quite a bit of a struggle because Mason here, me and him are sort of equal on the pace. So me trying to catch up to him was really hard when I have to defend because, yeah, once again, me and him are fairly equal. I am catching up to him quite a bit through the corners, but once again, he will just pull away on the straight. Now, this is a lot of hard work that needs to be done for me. Trying to keep up the minimum speed through these corners is very, very hard. Next year, a lot of people are turning 16. But I believe the fight for the win next year will be significantly less competitive than this year. 2023, I believe, was probably the toughest year for locals at Edmonton. It was very, very close in the junior category. I sort of made, I had sort of had the idea in my brain to think it was a good idea to teach a couple people, which did have a lot of people, of course, on pace. And no, I'm joking. So yeah, I did teach quite a bit of people, so a lot of them are going to be on the pace. But next year is going to be very different because a lot of them aren't competing, and a lot of them, of course, are turning 16, so they will be in the adult categories. I still have another 2 years to wait to join the adult category. Of course, this year, 2023, and then 2024. 2025, I am aiming to win the BIKC, either middleweight or heavyweight. I don't see myself being able to make it down to lightweight as my muscle mass is really, really high, and of course I am really tall and I am only 14, so I will continue growing until I'm 21. So yeah, I don't see myself being able to make it to lightweight, but I can of course fight to be able to be competing in the middleweight and the heavyweight. So here, yeah, Max goes down my inside now. I get the boost on the up ramp because I have better exit speed, but here he just pulls away from me. Now at this point here, I sort of just lose a lot of confidence and I demotivate myself as I see these guys are just way lighter than me and they're just gapping me on the straight. They have better karts than me. Max here had a really good kart. Kart 14 was running really quick on the night and been running quick ever since. As you can see here, he's just pulling away and I was saying under my helmet, wow, he is quick on the straight. And I've gained here, it just isn't enough. He will just start pulling away, non-stop pulling away, and it's just demotivating me. So at this point I'm hoping for a gift from God that something happens ahead or he has a big incident which I can capitalize on and I can keep defending against him. So yeah, you can just see him dropping me here. I'm gaining a lot of time through the corners. As I said before, I have a lot better a cornering sort of a lot better of a cornering technique. So you can see it turning in earlier, keeping up the minimum speed mid corner and early on the entry, keeping up the minimum speed on the entry and having the same exit as everyone. Of course, once again, they are going to be very light, so they're just going to gap me. I believe the person closest to me in weight was like 15 to 20 kgs lighter than me. So this was a real struggle, and you will see at the end where I finished. So it does get a little spicy. In two in front, Mason pulls off an absolutely insane move against Max here. He tricks him, lets him through, and he pulls off a switchback. Max tries going down his inside, and Mason is not having any of it. Mason has a lot of experience when driving, so he knows where to defend people, where not to defend, where to trick them out, so and so. So Mason does have a lot of experience. He does have quite a bit more experience than me, but I have picked it up quite fast, and I know where the mistakes are going to be done, and I know where to capitalize on these two battling. So here, Max goes for a switchback. Mason cuts him off, cuts off his exit speed. Me, I pull alongside Max here, and of course I have to back out of this one because I don't have the right of way for this corner. So once again, we are coming up on the final 2 laps. So this is where the race starts getting spicy. So here, us 3 are in a train. Now at this point here, I have like 4 or 5 cars on my rear end. So a lot of pressure is on me to try and overtake Max and Mason. So these two just pull away from me once again on the straight, and Mason decides to defend, and Max gets a poor exit speed, so I pull alongside and I overtake him. So now I'm running in P3 with Mason in front, and we are deciding to work together once again to try and pull away from the back and defend. So from now on, me and him are now going to push to the finish line to see where we can get. So here, as you see, I will gain speed through this corner. And I see that I've been bumped from behind, so I really do not want to get stuck behind Mason here because I will be left vulnerable on the straight. So here, I'm going to go down the inside of Mason. I'm trying to pull ahead now. I'm trying to keep ahead so I can keep up the pace so me and Mason can pull away. So here, I believe I do have more pace, so I will go down the inside to just pull away. Here, I take P2, and I'm pushing now. So coming on this down ramp, I'm going to try and sort of keep my place, and we go to yellows. So I believe that, at this point, I am believing that I have just pulled off P2. I'm going to go across this line and finish in P2. But the marshals tell me otherwise, and I have finished P3 because they decided to keep the green lights on towards the end of the race. But here, me and Mason are just happy we pulled off something amazing in these karts. We had a 9 kart length train just behind us, so me and him have pulled off an absolutely amazing drive, being able to pull off P2 and P3 in our starting positions with poor karts. Me and him ended up with 2 of the slowest laps of the race. Mason ended up with the 2nd slowest lap, and I ended up with the 3rd slowest lap. So here I do a sort of semi donut, I sort of celebrate, but yeah, it was just an absolutely amazing night. I want to thank everyone there. I want to thank the marshals for running such a brilliant event. I want to thank everyone there for driving cleanly. Here I get to congratulate people, me and Mason celebrating here, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I will catch you for another video. I am Caleb or K Karting.